This is the All Rev'd Up podcast, and folks, you have no idea what it took to get Irene to commit to a 6th season.
You messing with me.
But we got her. She's back. She is back, and we are back. I'm Reverend Emmett Price.
And I'm Reverend Irene Monroe.
Irene, I really can't believe this is our 6th season of me mostly listening to you. Now, you're kind enough to let me get a word in every now and then, but really, our listeners listen. They chime in to hear what thus you have to say.
Okay, you know, as we say in Black vernacular, I'm igging you. But to our audience, I want you to know I miss you, and a tsunami of thanks I send your way for returning to us once again. And I want to thank our talented producers, Cavante Smalls and Kyla Wright.
Well, while we're here thanking everybody, and certainly before we jump into today's conversation about Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, we do thank each of you, our listeners and viewers. This 6th season is all because of you. So thank you for listening to us on the various podcast apps and for watching the actual live recording of the podcast on our YouTube channel. We are so grateful for your support, your encouragement, your feedback, your reviews, and your comments. Thank you so much for sharing the podcast with others.
Today, I am pleased to announce $100 million in support of Benin, Ghana, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. Last week, President Joe Biden announced a strategic plan for coastal West Africa as part of the United States strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability. Today, funding and the announcement that I've just made will help implement that plan.
You just heard the voice of Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. She is currently in West Africa, the country of Ghana, in the city of Accra. And this is her press conference on March 27th, 2023, as reported and captured by the World is One News. Now, Irene, prior to her serving as the vice president, she was an attorney, a district attorney for San Francisco. She was the attorney general of California. She was a U.S. senator, and she was Joe Biden's best chance and perhaps only chance at becoming president. Now, her intersectional embodiment as a Black and Asian woman availed an olive branch to Black women voters to whom Biden made this promise. He said that he would set Harris up to be the next president of the United States of America. Irene, is that even possible at this point? And can Joe even keep his promise if he wanted to?
You know, Emmett, that's a good question. So when I think about Kamala Harris here, she's between a rock and a hard place. So let's just go back to a beginning part. So when she was running, she had to face birtherism, the whole idea that because she is of Jamaican and Southeast Asian descent, is she really American, although she was born here in San Francisco? Then there was the question, and interestingly enough, some raised by Black folks here, but I thought it was very interesting. A lot of white folks were raising this question: is she Black enough? Then it was the question that would her selection be symbolic or substance? Or was this a form of tokenism with Joe Biden needing the Black community, and this would be a nod to the Black community? So now what's very, very interesting here that I've always found is that when it comes to Black women, and this is what I call another new racial trope, is Black women save the world. Black women save America from itself. Now, as you know, we're the backbone, the Black church, the Black family, the DNC. And now, you know, giving Joe's declining numbers, his unpopularity, and we're in a polarized time. And there's also not only is it about his age, but his question to an ability to actually serve. Now they're raising the question, is she qualified? There's no other person more qualified. As a matter of fact, she helps Joe to stand up as opposed to being propped up. So I don't even know why people are constantly wondering about her ability, because by the mere fact that she's in that office speaks volumes that she had to be overqualified to be there. But, I keep saying that she's in this can't win for losing conundrum, because they're looking at the assignments that she was given, and they're unwinnable assignments. Now, think about this, Emmett. Nobody else has done it. See, this is where it's about Black women save the world, right? Curbing the influx of immigration from
Right.
Central America and expanding the restrictive voting rights in these stronghold GOP states here. Nobody else has been able to do it. And then she has to strike this like delicate balance of not being this overpowering, come on now, here's another trope, work with me, angry Black woman, not staying in her place, because she runs the risk of being too loud, too forceful, not knowing her place, not staying in her lane, and being arrogant. Although she is the president, a VP, she's VP, and she has to assert her power without seeming like a titular head for fear of being unqualified or tokenized. You work with me,
Well,
because no Kamala, there can't possibly be no Joe.
well, I mean, you make some points here. I'm as I'm listening to you. First of all, you talk about that birtherism stuff. I fondly remember, or keenly remember, I should say, another Black biracial individual in politics at the highest level, right? Barack Obama, and this whole question of birtherism, right, and notion of qualification, because he hadn't been senator long enough to be, a presidential candidate. But what's interesting about this is I compare Kamala Harris to her predecessor, Mike Pence. Okay, I mean, do I need to say anything more? I mean, so let me just do a hard stop there, because there's no comparison. Not in terms of
And she's not
qualifications.
kissing any ring.
And hopefully her president doesn't try to take her out. I mean, let me just leave that one there too. But the really interesting thing about the pairing of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is, you remember that Kamala Harris was a nominee for president, right? She in the preliminaries. And it wasn't until the vicious murder of George Floyd. It wasn't until after the vicious murder of George Floyd that Joe Biden realized that he needed to pick a Black woman, after all of the pressure that he was receiving from voters or whatnot, and his constituents. And remember that it was between Kamala Harris and Representative Val Demings from Florida.
That's right.
Remember that?
Absolutely, from Florida. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so here we have Kamala Harris, who clearly got the job done during the campaign. And remember, Joe Biden said, essentially, I don't want to quote, but essentially, I'm going to be a one-term president. And instead of running for re-election in my second term, I'm going to set Kamala Harris up. And I think that that's what got Black women to vote in affirmative of Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris ticket. And now here we are, and that whole conversation has disappeared. Mm-hmm. And Joe Biden, as you say, propping him up. He's having a hard time, but the thing he's not having a hard time is he's not remembering that he was supposed to be setting her up for success. He's not doing that.
He's reneging on it. And see, and what happens is, because he's reneging on it, he's doing nothing to help her to ascend to that office here. Instead of it falling on him, it's easy for her to be the fall girl.
Yeah.
Look what you have not done, as opposed to look what you have not done to make it a success. But I need to say this, that kind of behavior is very typical. We see this in the academy. Come on, Emmett. These white men who are department heads, and supposedly a person of color or a woman is supposed to be the next in line. And instead of mentoring you or helping you or setting it up for you to win, you rather for it to dismantle. And you will use an excuse, and this is Biden excuse here, really, because the question is that he can't really step aside. He can use Trump as an excuse. He can use the polarization, in the country as an excuse. And what he fails to understand is maybe part of the polarization is because you are in that position. And not giving us an opportunity, meaning, Black women, to show the kind of leverage we have to course correct, even in a polarized situation, because for our existence, it's been nothing but polarization.
Ooh. Ooh-wee. As we say in Black vernacular, back to your colloquialism. I'm gonna just have to pause on that. I need to let that marinate because you just opened up a can of worms that I want to come back on the other side of the break and really wrestle with this. This is the All Rev'd Up podcast. We will be right back.
Does he understand what it's like to be a vice president?
He does. And he really is a true partner, and he understands the job. And remember, we came in during the height of the pandemic.
Yes.
And so much of the work was about, okay, we've got to cover a lot of bases, and let's figure out how between us we can do it.
This is the All Rev'd Up podcast, and we are back. You just heard the voice of Madam Vice President on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, the March 16th, 2023 episode. Irene, you were making the point that there is no comparison in terms of Madam Vice President's role, and the irony that her boss, the president, Joe Biden, is a former two-term vice president. So if she's not doing her job well, it's on him and not on her. Why don't you break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, that was my premise. And when I heard that, I thought, okay, this is a wonderful way to highlight the fact that here Stephen Colbert is on national television, a huge audience, asking her the question. She's the present vice president, pretty much saying, does he know what he's doing? And he's had the position. And the interesting thing about that's and why it falls on Biden, is that when Biden was vice president, nobody asked, does Obama know what the VP should do? And the interesting thing, he had never been elected to office, not to that level, had not been in Congress that long, but yet, again, rose to the occasion in such a way, kept Joe not only busy, but from all these kind of gaffes he would make, speak out of term, and just all kinds of stuff that he would do, that was supposed to be confidential information. So kept a tight rein on him, paved a path for him to succeed, to walk with pride, or wobble, one or the other. But the point is, he kept a steady pace. And so my point is that, and Obama gave him projects that he knew that he would be successful at. So, and if he couldn't do it, he also gave him support to help him find people and other solutions to the problem.
So check this out, Irene. I am finally listening, because I love audiobooks. I'm finally listening to Michelle Obama's Becoming. I'm finally listening because when it came out, it was too raw. I wasn't ready for it because I watched how she was scrutinized. I watched how every time it seemed that she made a faux pas, that she was scandalized. I watched all of that. And she was the first lady. So I can't even imagine being a Black and Asian woman vice president, that if you wear the wrong heels, or if you wear the wrong color scheme, or if you wear the wrong eyeglasses, if you wear the wrong thing, then you're being scrutinized. And that equates to your intelligence. It equates to your preparation. So is it the case, Irene, that the white man politician gets away with any and everything, and the Black Asian woman politician has to always be meticulously prepared, has to be 3 times, 4 times better than her white male colleagues? Is that what we're saying here? Is that what we're seeing?
My point is, given Joe's, record in the Senate and even as president, I mean, you sort of answered the question. See, because I'm old school, so none of you may remember this. See, but I remember back in the day with Anita Hill. So again, I see that again as using a Black woman for your own aggrandizement and advancement. And then when things don't go as he had envisioned because he didn't think it out very well or didn't have a contingency plan, it falls on the sister. So I'm still back with Anita Hill, where he wanted to bring down Clarence Thomas, but didn't have the right kind of political connection and savviness to bring that about. Put her out there to just be skillet by the Republican Senate, and she becomes demonized, and he goes back to his Senate seat. Clarence Thomas gets, the Supreme Court seat. So I just feel that again, and it's not just about Joe. I think it's emblematic about white men, and having certainly women of color who bring a certain kind of wisdom and savviness, and acumen. How do you mentor that person? And also, how do you not mammify her? And what I mean by mammify her, because again, I get back to that trope. You save the world. You save me. You prop me up.
So was she being mammified when this nation watched the vicious murder of Tyree Nichols, and instead of the president being presidential and actually trying to calm and bring healing to the nation, he sends Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, and to do the Obama thing, right?
That's right.
Since we talk to get up there at that church, and if you need to go on and sing a line of Amazing Grace to let the peoples know that you resonate with them. I mean, was that another mammification moment?
Well, yeah, but I mean that's performance. See, because the right thing to do would have been for him to show up. He's the president. It would have been for him to show up. But the point is that, see, that's performance. You do that, because of course I know you're going to do that well. But that's the thing that bothers me, is that he doesn't take her seriously, and he doesn't know what she's capable of doing. So that's why the nation doesn't.
So let me ask you one more question now. Because
I'm mad. I'm mad because I hate the way, because as a Black woman, I know how that works.
Well, and this is my question. Did the president send Kamala Harris to Ghana and to West Africa, and then later on to East Africa on this tour because she's Black?
What you think? I mean, really?
What you say? What you talking about, Willis?
Okay. I mean, because again, he has to do this. I mean, see, Obama went. The president went. Listen, Nancy Pelosi went. Okay. I can tell you a whole bunch of people who went, So my point is that you should have gone, meaning Biden should have gone. So this is where it becomes performative. It becomes, and tokenized, and she can't do anything about it because he has power over her. But the real thing is that he doesn't know what to do with her. He doesn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do when he was VP.
I'm going to.
I just need to say, and then he will want the Black vote, because he can say, "Look, I didn't send y'all to the motherland. I mean, look, I sent you to Tyree Nichols' funeral."
Beloved, we are all the way here. This is season 6, and this is what you're going to get in this season. You're going to get unabashed, unashamed, uncensored Irene. She is back for you. Irene, you got a final word for us today.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to calm down now. Let me calm down. Take deep breaths. So in closing Women's Month, I want to give a shout out to an important woman in our lives of the All Rev'd Up podcast. And that's Ms. Kyla Wright, one of our producers. On this last day of Women's Month, there's no better way to celebrate it than to wish Kyla a happy birthday. And Kyla, you were born into a long legacy of Black women. And I write this benediction for you, Kyla, to give you strength when you're weak, and joy in remembering who you are and whose you are. As Black women, our presence has always forged an intersectionality with life and living, long before it became a word in the public discourse and a reality embraced in the academy. By remembering our foremothers during this month, we plant better seeds for you, Kyla, and our daughter's future. As Black women, we are the women who have marched through cotton fields into the fields of medicine, politics, law, education, and entertainment. We even found a way to march ourselves into the White House as the First Lady of the United States with Michelle Obama. We are the trailblazers, change makers, and movers and shakers. However, we know in this society there's a propensity for forgetting our names. However, for those who have difficulty distinguishing us, Kyla, I have a suggestion. Call us Black women, for this is the basis upon which we operate as a group. This is the basis of our ethos because there's something about us that only we understand. Something, and notably the way we see the world and how we learn from it. There is a mild nature within us that most don't see, that whispers to others we are gentle even when we are most firm. At a glance, we can tell more about each other than any volume can unfold because of our lived experience that cannot be denied and will not be ignored. Kyla, when you're down, I want you to remember this. Black women rock. We rock, not in spite of our challenges, but rather because of them. When you hear the phrase Black girl magic, it means a power and an energy derived from a Black woman's ancestral tradition, spirituality, and wisdom. It is the fire of our spirit, the cadence of our speech, the weight of our blues, and the protection of ourselves and our sisterhood. It is an indestructible strength that allows us to not only get down, Kyla, but to get up, to get through, and to get over. Happy birthday, my talented sister, and happy Women's Month. Ashe.
Ashe.
And amen.
Amen, Reverend Irene Monroe. Amen. All right. Happy birthday, Kyla. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, girl.
All Rev'd Up is brought to you by us, the Revs. Our amazing producers are Kyla Wright and Cavante Smalls.
Music for this episode is from Reverend Price's son and musical prodigy, Emmett G. Price IV. All Rev'd Up is distributed by GBH.
Additional thanks to Bob Kempf, Elizabeth O'Brien, May He, Devin Robbins, Meredith Neerman, and Zach Waldman.
If you like what you hear, let us know. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us at All Rev'd Up Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Feel free to send us a note, a question, or a comment to allrevduppod@gmail.com. We'll be back